Alright, class. So, magandang araw sa inyong lahat. So, today we will be discussing about the employer's right to unionize. Okay, this is part of our midterms. Gagamitin natin ito, kumbaga ito yung pag-aaralan natin, isa sa mga pag-aaralan natin. Okay? Kasi it doesn't mean naman na management representative kayo, hindi nyo alam kung ano yung unionism. You should understand then kung ano yung karapatan ng mga manggagawa when it comes to our union rights. Okay? So let's start. So as for our chapter objectives, first is to analyze the constitutional and statutory basis of the formation and registration of labor unions. Kailangan maintindihan natin yun. Okay? Saan ba siya nanggaling? Tapos, paano siya nabuo? At kung sakali man na, kunyari, kayo yung gagawa ng union, di ba? Dapat alam nyo rin kung paano ito i-register sa DOLE para syempre mailaban ninyo kung ano yung para sa inyo. Okay? So, second is to evaluate the rights and duties of both employees and employers in relation to our labor unions. Like I said, okay? It doesn't mean na nasa ano kayo, nasa management kayo, is hindi nyo na may intindihan nito. Okay? Kailangan naiintindihan niyo yung parehas na rights niyan pagkadating sa unionism. Okay? And then of course, decide whether or not government employees are entitled to the labor unions. Siyempre, hindi lang naman sa private sector ang labor unions. Kailangan meron din si government. Like sa amin sa DOLE, meron kaming union. Okay? Yun yung tumutulong sa amin sa mga race, kunyari nagkaroon rin ng problema, etc. Yan. Okay? Yan yung tumutulong rin sa amin si labor unions rin. Okay? And of course, last but not the least, to solve the various problems and consequences of unfair labor practices both with labor union and of course the management. Unfair labor practice, hindi lang naman yan nakafocus doon sa management na unfair yung practice nila. Meron ring unfair practice sa labor union. But I believe itong part ng unfair labor practice, siguro by next week na itong unfair labor practice kasi medyo kailangan natin tutukan ng konti yan. Okay? So let's start with our lecture. So the right to self-organization. Okay? The right to self-organization includes the right to form, join, or assist labor organizations for the purpose of collective bargaining. Okay? Yung CBA na naririnig ninyo. Through representatives of their own choosing. Siyempre, kailangan may mga union presidents, union officers, and to engage in lawful, concerted activities for some purpose of their mutual aid and, of course, protection. Okay? Union usually started with protection of the workers. Usually. Diyan yung nagsisimula. Nagkakaroon ng hindi magandang nangyayari, and then bubuso ng union para paglaban yung karapatan nila. Pero hindi naman lahat ng pagkakataon yun. Okay? There are some unions na nabuo dahil gusto lang nilang ma-represent sila. Okay? So, may ano ba nga ba yung mga legal basis nito? Saan ba ito nanggaling? Well, unang-una sa lahat, of course, is yung 1987 Constitution. Okay? Section 3, the state shall afford full protection to labor, local and overseas, organized and unorganized, and promote full employment and equality of employment opportunities for all. Yan yung nakalagay dun sa ating labor code. Okay? It shall guarantee the rights of all workers to self-organization, collective bargaining and negotiations, and peaceful concerted activities. So may mga union strikes na talagang pinapayagan. Okay? Including the right to strike yan, in accordance with the law, of course. Article yan sa ating 1987 Constitution. And when we read about Section 8 naman, the right of the people, including those employed in the public and private sectors, to form unions, associations, or societies for purpose not contrary to law. Siyempre naman, di ba? Kailangan not contrary to law. Okay? And of course, doon naman sa ating number 2, ILO Convention. Ito, ILO Convention number 87. Ano ba nakasulat dyan? Workers and employers without distinction whatsoever shall have the right to establish and subject only the rules of organization concerned to join organizations of their own choosing without previous authorization. Okay? And of course, ILO rin natin, sa ILO convention rin natin, under Article 3, workers and employers organization shall have the right to draw up their constitutions and rules. Yan yung CBA. To elect their representatives in full freedom and organize the administration and activities of to formulate their programs. Okay? So as you can see, the public authorized shall refrain from any interface which would restrict the right to impede kung ano yung gusto nilang gawin. Okay? Under PD 442 sa Labor Code mismo, Article 4, workers and employers organization shall not be liable to be dissolved and suspended by administrative duty. Article 5, workers and employers organization shall have the right to establish and join federation. So, talagang nasa labor code siya. Kaya saan natin siya tingnan? At saan nasa constitution na rin siya. Ito pa, Article 6 ng under our labor code. The provisions of Article 2, 3, and 4 ng Labor Code hereof apply to federations and confederations of workers. So talagang may karapatan. May karapatan mga manggagawa natin na gumawa ng union. Okay? Meron na mga, minsan, hindi magandang mga employers na pinipigilan itong pagbuo ng labor unions. Kasi di ba pag naririnig natin yung labor unions, madalas sinasabi, gulo lang yan. Di ba? Kumbaga parang iniisip ng iba, pangit sa negosyo, ganyan. Pero hindi, actually guys, labor unions are used para mas mapaganda yung isang kumpanya. Mas ma-encourage yung mga tao na magtrabaho ng mas maganda, mas masipag, kumbaga. Kasi yun naman talaga ang purpose ng labor union. Hindi lang para protektahan sila, kundi para tumulong rin dun sa sa establishment or dun sa company na kumbinsihin yung mga tao na magtrabaho ng mas maganda, mas mabilis, mas maging productive, etc. Kasi kasama yan sa CBA eh. Meron kayong pinagkakasunduan, tapos hindi matutuloy, di ba? So, dapat natutuloy siya. Depende dun sa CBA natin. Okay? Ayan, no? Sa dollar regulations naman natin, yung pinakadulong-dulo. Di ba? May coverage yan. Siyempre, yan yung tinatawag natin na IRR, di ba? Yung implementing rules and regulations, si DOLE na yung gumagawa niyan. Okay? Pero siyempre, protected pa rin ang mga manggagawa natin when it comes to making a union. Okay? So, of course, when we are talking union, siyempre sumasama yan, may mga sumasali dyan, etc. No? But it doesn't mean na may union yung company, pwede, sasali ka kagad. Okay? Sabi nga dyan, the right to join includes the right to not join a union. Okay? The right to form a union or association or to self-organization comprehends into two notions. May dalawang notion yan. Una, the liberty or freedom. That is the absence of restraint, okay, which guarantees that the employee may act for himself without being prevented by law. Okay? And number two, the power by virtue of which the employee may, as he pleases, join or refrain from joining the association. In other words, guys, sinasabi dito that the decision to join or not to join belongs exclusively to the employee. Okay? And no one is allowed by law to interfere with the personal decision of the employee. Walang sino man. Okay? Kung naririnig nyo, dahil nga may union, dapat sumali ka sa union. Hindi naman ibig sabihin may union, sasali ka agad sa union. Kung ayaw mong sumali, huwag. Okay? Siyempre, hindi mo nga lang may enjoy yung kung ano man yung kumbaga kung ano man yung ipinaglalaban nila or kung ano man yung meron sila. But joining a union would always be the decision of the worker. Hindi ito magiging desisyon ng co-worker or ng management, especially the management. But definitely, it is the decision of the worker. Kunyari, na regular na siya, pwede na siya sumali sa union, etc. It doesn't mean na, ikaw sumali ka sa union, sasabihin ng union president, kung ayaw mo, hindi mo ka sumali sa union, that's good. Wala namang problema dun eh. Kasi nasa karapatan mo yon. Sabi nga, the right to join includes the right not to join. May karapatan kang sumali, may karapatan ka rin hindi sumali. So, hindi yan automatic na kapag may union, member ka agad ng union. It falls upon the decision of the employee. Okay? Palaging si employee ang masusunod dyan. Hindi po pwedeng masusunod yung management o kaya naman yung union representatives or yung mga union president, etc. Ang masusunod dyan, yung employee na gusto or ayaw sumali. So, lagi ninyong tatandaan, yun yung isa sa mga right ng mga manggagawa. Okay? Let's go. Okay, the right to unionize sa government employees. Sabi ko nga, pag-uusapan natin ng konti ito. No? Hindi naman tayo masyado magduduel dito kasi nga, hindi masyadong sikat pero nangyayari to kahit sa union, kahit sa government, kaya basically sa amin, sa DOLE. We have two unions, Courage at saka yung OEA. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, sa buong DOLE may dalawang union na naglalaban-laban yung kung sino yung gustong maging SEBA or yung sole na bargaining agent. Okay? So, right to unionize government employees, okay? Article 254, right of the employees in the public service. The employees of the government corporations established under the corporation code shall have the right to organize and bargain collectively with their respective employers. Sabi dyan, ha? All other employers in the civil service shall have the right to form associations for the purposes of not contrary to law. Okay, nandiyan rin Executive Order 180 at saka yung Republic Act 6715. So sabi nga dyan guys, basically yung ibig sabihin, the scope of the constitutional right to self-organization sa government employees above, kumbaga mention, was defined and delineated in Executive Order 180. Yan yan, nakita nyo 180 na yun. According dun sa Executive Order 180, the right to self-organization does indeed pertain to all employees of all branches, subdivisions, instrumentalities, and agencies of the government. So lahat yun, including government-owned or controlled corporations. Okay, katulad ng SSS, diba? Iba yung mga salary grade nila kasi GOCC sila. Okay? So sinasabi, such employees shall not be discriminated, kahit sino, against in respect of their employment by the reason of their membership in the employees organization. So sabi na, kahit sumama sila dyan, kahit hindi sila sumama dyan, dapat hindi sila nadidiscriminate. Kasi kung gusto lang naman nila magkaroon rin ng representation, bakit hindi, di ba? Under Executive 180 naman, in other words, the right of the government employees to deal and negotiate with their respective employers is not quite as extensive katulad nung doon sa private. Okay? Excluded from negotiations by the government employees are terms and conditions of their employment. Siyempre, si CSC lang nagsasabi niyan. And of course, nakafix na kasi yan sa batas. Okay? It being only those terms and conditions not otherwise fixed by law may be subject to negotiations between the duly recognized employees, etc., etc. So, yun lang hindi nila napapakialaman. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, technically, may right to unionize ang isang government employee. So, it doesn't mean na nasa government kami, halimbawa, hindi kami pwedeng mag-union. Mag-union rin kami kasi kailangan may magre-represent din sa amin. Katulad rin ng isang nasa private na gusto nila mag-union, na may gusto nila mag-represent, ganun din naman sa government. So, basically guys, gusto ko sana ang maging thinking nyo dito ganito. Parehas lang tayong empleyado. Kunyari, halimbawa, you're from the private, I'm from the government, we're both employees. Nagkataon lang, magkaiba tayo ng employer. Okay? Kung ano yung nararanasan nyo sa private, yun rin yung nararanasan namin sa government. Nagkataon lang, magkaiba tayo ng employer. Okay? So, kung ano yung tax ninyo, yun rin yung tax namin. Okay? It doesn't mean na sa government, walang tax. Diyos ko guys, pag nakita nyo yung mga tax ng sa government, wala man lang tax shields. Okay? So, may tax rin kami. Kung ano yung sinisingil sa private, yun rin yung sinisingil sa government. Actually, minsan mas mataas pa when it comes to social security. Sa SSS at saka compare mo sa GSIS, minsan mas mataas pa yung sinisingil sa GSIS compared sa SSS. So what I'm trying to say is, we're both workers, we're both employees, nagkataon lang magkaiba yung ating mga employer. So kung ano yung right na meron kayo, meron rin naman sa amin, pero minsan may limitation nga lang. I hope you understand that, HRs, no? Medyo iba ng konti ang style sa government, pero basically, kung paano ninyo patakbuhin ng isang private firm, gano'n rin naman patakbuhin ng government. Mas mataas nga lang yung hinihinging services sa amin. Okay? Yan, o diba? Okay, so of course, may exemption. May exemption. Sino bang prohibited na sumali sa isang union sa government? Sa government? The following shall not be eligible to form, join, or assist in any employees organization for purposes of collective negotiations. First, high level, highly confidential, and coterminous employees, hindi sila pwedeng sumama kasi syempre may mga state secrets yan, highly confidential yung mga ano nila, mga ginagawa nila, so technically hindi talaga sila pwede. At saka yung coterminous, ito yung kapag nawala yung boss nila, nawala yung ano nila, yung nag-hire sa kanila, wala na rin, katulad ng halimbawa, mayor, coterminous usually yung ano sa mayor, coterminous yung mga tao niya, o kaya naman yung mga ano, tawag dyan, yung mga secretaries minsan, yung mga tao niya, coterminous rin, so hindi sila pwedeng sumali sa union. Okay? Letter B, members of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Siyempre naman. Kaya kailangan hindi sila kailangan neutral sila palagi. Okay? Kasama na diyan yung mga police, mga firemen, jail guards, and other personnel by nature of their functions are authorized to carry firearms. Kasi isipin nyo na lang kung biglang hindi nagkasundo tapos nag-rally sila, hindi kasama nila yung mga baril nila. No? So, hindi sila pwedeng bumuo ng yun, yung mga part na yan. Firemen, jail guards, members of the PNP, and then of course the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Kaya wala silang union. But technically sa iba, meron naman. Okay? Except when there express or written approval from the management. Excuse me. Okay? So, let's talk about how to register a union. How do we register a union? Kapag dumating yung time na kayo mag-aayos nito, how do we register a union ba? First, any national labor union, labor organization or labor federation or local union may file an application for registration with the bureau or the regional office ng DOLE where applicant's principal office is located. Okay? Halimbawa, nasa Caloocan, yung kumpanya, sa Kamanava kayo, field office DOLE, mag-a-apply ng inyong or magre-register ng inyong union. Okay? The bureau or the regional office shall immediately process and approve or deny the application. In case of approval, the bureau or the regional office shall issue a registration certificate within 30 calendar days from receipt of the application, together with all the requirements ng registration na hinihingi para sa isang union. Okay? So ano ba yung mga requirements na yon? Okay? The applications of the or for registration of local union shall be signed by at least 20% ng employees in the appropriate bargaining unit which the applicant union seeks to represent. Okay? 20% ng kumpanya na yun, at least 20% ng kumpanya na yun is gustong magbuo ng union. Okay? Para mabuo yung union. So, dapat yung mga papeles na to ay kasama yung 50 pesos registration fee, ang mura, no? The names of its officers, address, principal address of the labor organization, minutes of the organizational meetings, and the list of the workers who participated in such meetings para makita kung sino-sino yung mga interesado magbuo talaga ng union. Okay? Dati nagche-check ako nito eh. Medyo pero nung lumabas-labas na ako, hindi na ako nagche-check ng mga ganito, mga requirement ba ng isang union. Okay? The names of all its members and the number of employees in the bargaining unit, syempre nandun, if the applicant union has been in existence for 1 or more years. Kung may copies na sila ng mga financial reports nila, kailangan lahat yun mailabas nila. Okay? Kailangan lahat yun mapakita nila. Okay? And of course, 4 copies of its constitution and bylaws. Kasi alam nyo guys, no? Pag gumagawa ng union, may mga bylaws rin yan. Para rin silang gumagawa ng isang kumpanya or sect. Parang ganyan. Kasi paparegister nga sila. May mga bylaws rin, may mga batas rin sila pagdating dun sa unions na yun. Okay? In-adopt siya or renatify siya. And the list of members na nag-ratify nun, kailangan nanduroon rin siya. Okay? Kailangan na iintindihan natin na kompleto. Kompleto dapat yung mga requirements nito bago natin siya ma-register. So pag-usapan naman natin, ano ba yung bargaining unit? Okay? Ang daming definition ng bargaining unit na pinagkukuha ko siya sa mga iba't ibang jurisprudence. Okay? Dami niyan. Pero pinili ko lang yung pinakamagaganda. Okay? Well, let's try to na lang. A bargaining unit is a group of employees sought to be represented by a petitioning union. There are several factors to determine the bargaining unit. Mamaya pag-usapan natin yun. Under naman dun sa sa Department Order number 40 series of 2003, ang definition ng bargaining unit ay bargaining unit refers to a group of employees sharing mutual interests within a given employer unit. Comprised of all or more or less than the entire body of the employees in the employer unit or any specific occupational or geographical grouping within the employer unit. Okay? Yan yung definition ng Department Order na yun. Under naman sa jurisprudence na GR 179146, ang definition naman ng bargaining unit is refers to the group of employees of a given employer comprised of all or less than all the entire body of employees which the collective interest of all employees consistent with the equity of the employer. Ito medyo inano yung employer, medyo linagay yung employer. Indicated to be best suited to serve the reciprocal rights and duties of the parties under the collective bargaining provisions. Kasi kapag pinag-usapan natin yung collective bargaining, I mean CBA, pag pinag-usapan natin yung CBA na yan guys, no? May dalawang partido dyan. Actually, para sa next week pa kasi yung definition nitong CBA na to. Pero bigyan ko ng konting sneak peek, no? CBA is basically a bargaining agreement between two parties, the union and of course the management. Okay? So, kapag nagkaroon kayo ng CBA, meron kayong pagkakasundo, unity ba? Kailangan magkaroon yan ng tripartism. Tripartism, tatlo yun sir, dalawa lang naman sila. Tripartism yan kasi nandun rin si Dole na nag-negotiate, minimediate niya yung negotiations. So basically, it's a agreement or a harmony agreement between two parties na gagawin nila. Okay, halimbawa, hiningi ng mga employees na tumaas yung sweldo nila, tapos syempre may hihingi na rin sa employer, o sige, tataas namin yung sweldo ninyo, pero syempre kailangan natin itaas ng konti yung production natin. Kailangan magkakasundo sila. Kasi hindi yan magiging collective bargaining agreement, hindi yan magiging CBA kung walang agreement. Okay? Kailangan magkakasundo sila. Okay? Sabi nga doon sa isang nabasa kong libro, a bargaining unit is a group of employees sought to represent by a petitioning union. Diba? Kailangan meron silang grupo. May represent sa kanila. Hindi yung parang si Juan gusto niya ganito, si Mario gusto niya ganito, si kumbaga si Pedro gusto niya ganito, hindi ganoon. Mayroong isang grupo na nabuo para siya ang makipagkasundo doon sa ating employer. Okay? Kasi sila yung nagre-representa doon sa body ng mga employee. Okay? So, yun yung definition natin ng bargaining unit. Okay, ito medyo nakakalito to, no? Kasi sabi ito, union versus legitimate labor organization and of course, bargaining unit. Kasi kanina niyo pa naririnig yung mga yan. So, ano-ano ba yung mga yan? So, under Article 212 of the Labor Code defines a labor organization as any union or association of employees which exist in whole or part of the purpose of collective bargaining or of dealing with employers concerning terms and conditions of employment upon compliance with all the documentary requirements and regional office or bureau kung saan man sila nagpasa at of course kunyari na-approve sila etc. masasama na sila doon sa legitimate labor organization. Okay? Labor organization na sila sa una pa lang. Pero kapag sila ay na-register na kay DOLE, ang tawag na sa kanila ay legitimate labor organization. Okay? Any applicant labor organization shall require legal personality and shall be entitled to the rights and privileges granted by law to legitimate labor organization upon issuance of the certificate of registration. Okay? So guys, lagi ninyong tatandaan that the concepts of union and of a legitimate labor organizations are different from but related to the concept of a bargaining unit. Okay? Yung konsepto daw ng isang union, okay, at saka ng isang labor organization ay magkaiba pero related siya sa bargaining unit. On the other hand, a bargaining unit, as defined, has been defined as a group of employees of a given employer comprised of or more or less the entire body of employees which has collective interest. So, ibig sabihin, wala silang sariling entity. Meron lang silang iisang interest. Yun yung tinatawag na bargaining unit. Pero kapag sila ay nagkasundo-sundo na, naging grupo na sila na ay matatawag na union. Okay? Pero kapag yung union na yan ay re-register na yung union na yan, kay DOLE, sila ay tatawagin ng legitimate labor organization. So yun yung difference ng union, legitimate labor organization, at saka ng isang bargaining unit. Okay. Siyempre may magtatanong, sir, posible ba na maraming bargaining unit sa isang kumpanya? Sagot dyan, yes. Okay. Multiple bargaining units. It is possible to have a more than one bargaining unit in one establishment. Posible naman yun, guys. Pwede naman mangyari. Katulad nga sa amin, di ba? Sabi sa inyo, dalawa yun sa DOLE, di ba? So it would be possible. Possible talaga. So as long as the requirement for the bargaining unit are met, yun nga, yung definition kanina na sinabi ko sa inyo, there can be several bargaining unit sa isang establishment. Actually, guys, just para kwento ko lang sa inyo, halimbawa kay San Miguel, maraming union, maraming bargaining unit doon, pero iisa lang yung SEBA sa kanila. Next week, i-define natin kung ano yung SEBA, ano yung CBA, paano siya nabubuo, etc. Yun. Next week pag-uusapan natin. Ito kasi parang intro to para doon sa mas pag-uusapan natin by next week. Okay? So, laging tatandaan guys, pwedeng maraming bargaining units sa iisang kumpanya. Okay? As long as yung mga requirements ng isang bargaining unit ay nami-meet naman natin. Okay? So, ano ba mga factors nito? Okay? So, in determining the proper collective bargaining unit and what unit would be appropriate to be collective bargaining agency, okay? Several factors that should be considered, okay? Yan, nasa harapan mo dyan. Nasa harapan nyo yan, guys. Yan. Will of the employees. Yung kagustuhan ng mga empleyado. Yung Globe Doctrine, yung tawagin namin actually. Okay? The test of the grouping is a community or mutuality of interest. Kakaparehas yung mga interest nila. Kaya nga will of the employees. Okay? The basic test of an asserted bargaining unit is na-accept siya, whether not it's fundamentally which combination which will be assured to all employees the exercise their collective bargaining rights. Okay? Okay? Yan yung dun sa Globe Doctrine natin, sa will of the employees. Yan, pag-usapan natin yan, no? Di ba sabi nga, will of the employees. It is manifest, therefore, that the desires of the employee is one factor of determining the appropriate bargaining unit. Okay? Magkakaroon ng isang bargaining unit o magkakaroon ng isang union na lang, okay? Kung, uulitin ko ha, kung iisa lang ang kagustuhan ng mga empleyado na sila ay marepresenta, okay? ng mga kasamahan nila or ma-representa nila yung mga sarili nila with the management. Gusto nila na sila ay magkaroon ng representation dun sa kumpanya. Hindi lang basta sila empleyado. Okay? Magkakaroon lang ng napakagandang bargaining unit kung yung desire ng employee ay iisa. Gusto nilang magkaroon ng bargaining unit or gusto nilang magkaroon ng union or magre-represent sa kanila. Okay? Next would be affinity and unity of the employee's interest. Halos parehas lang rin siya ng Globe Doctrine. A unit would be appropriate, must affect a grouping of employees. Kailangan nagkakaroon sila ng grupo who have substantial mutual interest in the wages, hours, working conditions, and other subjects of collective bargaining agreement. Okay? Kailangan nagkakaisa sila dun sa gusto nila. Okay, yung ano ba yung interest nila, yung mga sweldo, yung mga oras ng pagtatrabaho, kaligtasan sa trabaho, other subjects of CBA, kailangan isa lang yung interest nila. Okay? Sabi nga doon sa nabasa ko, it is readily seen that the employees in the instant case have community or mutuality of interest. Kailangan may community or mutuality of interest sila, which is the standard in determining a proper constituency of a collective bargaining unit. Basically, dapat iisa yung hangarin nila, guys. Kailangan iisa lang. It should be undisputed, kumbaga. Hindi may ibang paniniwala ba dun sa loob ng kumpanya that they all belong dun sa iisang grupo na yun. So, yun yung ibig sabihin ng affinity and unity of employees' interest. Kailangan iisa lang yung damdamin nila. Kailangan iisa lang yung gusto nilang mangyari. Kailangan iisa lang yung gusto nilang, iisa lang yung kagustuhan nila na ma-representa sila with the management. Okay? Kumbaga, yung hangarin nila, iisa lang. Siyempre, dapat maganda ang hangarin. Yun ay para protektahan yung mga manggagawa. Yun ay para i-representa yung mga manggagawa doon sa kumpanya na yun. Okay? Kailangan iisa lang sila. Okay. Siyempre, titigan na rin natin, no? Prior collective bargaining history. Okay? The collective bargaining history of a company is not decisive. Hindi naman siya decisive of what should compromise a collective bargaining unit. Pero sinasama siya dito as one of the factors. Pero hindi siya decisive. Mas decisive pa yung affinity of the employees at saka yung will of the employees. Okay? Mas decisive sila. Pero ito sinasama siya as one of the factors. Okay? While the existence of bargaining history is a factor that may be think about, okay? Yung pag-iisipan with determining the appropriate bargaining unit, the same is not decisive or conclusive, di ba? Hindi naman daw siya conclusive. Kung meron na silang prior bargaining history, hindi siya conclusive. Sinasama lang rin sila. Other factors must be considered. The test of grouping is of course the community and mutuality of interest. Yung sinabi ko nga kanina, yung affinity. Kailangan ni isa lang. Okay? This is so because the basic test of an asserted bargaining unit acceptability is whether or not it's fundamentally the combination of which will best assure to all employees the exercise of their collective bargaining rights. So it doesn't mean na nagkaroon na ng bargaining history tong management na to dito sa union na to or dito sa collective unit na bargaining unit na to. Eh yun na yun, sila na yung SEBA. Kumbaga, isa lang siya sa mga factors pero hindi siya kumbaga hindi siya decisive. Hindi siya yung tinitingnan lang kumbaga dun sa test na dito sa mga factors na to. Pero sinasama siya diyan as one of the factors. Okay? And of course, guys, napaka-simple naman ito pero isa sa pinaka-importante rin employment status such as temporary, seasonal, and probationary employees. Mahirap gawin ng isang union or isang bargaining unit kung ang mga tao ay mga temporary employees, mga seasonal or puro probationary employees. Usually, nakakasama talaga tayo dito sa mga unions kapag regular na tayo. Kasi mas, di ba nga, sabi ko sa inyo, yung due process, mas matindi kapag regular employee ka na. Okay? Mas matindi yan kapag regular employee ka na. So, technically, kapag gumagawa tayo ng mga union, dapat, hanggat maaari, regular na siya. Okay? Pero actually, hindi. Dapat regular na talaga siya. Kasi doon pa lang malalabas yung mga rights niya as a regular employee na pwedeng ipaglaban ng mga union. Okay? So, may papanoorin tayong video, guys. No? Papanoorin tayo na video. Medyo mahaba ng konti ito kasi may mga part dito na na-explain ng attorney ng mas maganda kaysa doon sa mga natin. So, panoorin natin itong video na to para mas maintindihan natin kung ano ang right to self-organization.
Right to self-organization. The right to self-organization is the entitlement given to all employees to form, join, or assist in the formation of associations for purposes not contrary to law. The right to self-organization is guaranteed by the Constitution, specifically Section 8, Article 3, and Section 3, Article 13 of the 1987 Constitution, which read as follows. Section 8, Article 3. The right of the people, including those employed in the public and private sectors, to form unions, associations, or societies for purposes not contrary to law, shall not be abridged. Section 3, Article 13. It shall guarantee the rights of all workers to self-organization, collective bargaining and negotiations, and peaceful concerted activities, including the right to strike in accordance with law. The Labor Code of the Philippines, specifically Article 253, in turn states, all persons employed in commercial, industrial, and agricultural enterprises, and in religious, charitable, medical, or educational institutions, whether operating for profit or not, shall have the right to self-organization and to form, join, or assist labor organizations of their own choosing for purposes of collective bargaining. There are two basic types of organizations that may be formed by employees. Number one, workers' association, and number two, labor organization. A workers' association is an organization of employees created for mutual aid and protection of its members or for any other legitimate purpose other than collective bargaining. A labor organization, which is commonly known as a labor union, is an association of employees created for collective bargaining or dealing with employers concerning terms and conditions of employment. Who can form or join a workers' association? All kinds of employees, whether managerial, supervisory, or rank and file, who are working in any type of establishment, operating for profit or not, can form or join a workers' association. Who can form or join a labor organization? Number one, supervisory employees, and number two, rank and file employees. These employees could be employed in any kind of establishment, whether commercial, industrial, agricultural, religious, charitable, medical, and educational institutions operating for profit or not. Therefore, employees of non-profit institutions can form a labor organization and bargain collectively with their employer. Who are considered as rank and file employees? Those who are neither managerial nor supervisory. Who are considered as supervisory employees? Those who, in the interest of the employer, effectively recommend managerial actions such as laying down and execution of management policies, or the hiring, transfer, suspension, layoff, recall, discharge, assignment, or discipline of employees using their independent judgment. The supervisory status of an employee is determined not by the position title, but by the nature of the employee's functions. The point to consider is whether the employee has the power to effectively recommend the laying down and execution of management policies, including personal movement, using his independent judgment. If the power is merely routinary or clerical in nature, the position is not supervisory. Thus, the mere designation of an employee as chief mechanic, chief welder, or chief carpenter is not necessarily indicative of supervisory status. Such designation merely connotes that he is the number one mechanic, welder, or carpenter among the many of the same category. There is neither effective recommendation nor independent judgment if the power to hire and fire is subject to evaluation, review, and final action by the department heads and other higher executives of the company. Home workers, or those employees who perform industrial work in their respective homes for the benefit of persons who deliver to them the goods to be processed or fabricated into a finished product, can form or join a labor organization. Security guards can form or join a labor organization. Alien employees can form or join a labor organization. Number one, if they have valid alien employment permits. And number two, if their country grants the same or similar rights to Filipino workers as certified by the Department of Foreign Affairs, or if their country has ratified either ILO Convention numbers 87 or 98. Remember that supervisors and rank and file cannot lump into a single union. They should form their own separate organization. The reason for the segregation is the difference in their interests. In the area of collective bargaining, their interests are not identical because the needs of one are different from those of the other. In disciplinary matters, supervisors act contrary to the interests of the rank and file whenever they ask for the discipline or dismissal of subordinates. If supervisors and rank and file employees are allowed to form a single union, their conflicting interests will impair their relationship and adversely affect discipline because the supervisors might refuse to carry out disciplinary measures against their co-member rank and file employees. However, the supervisory union and rank and file union can join the same federation. While supervisory employees cannot join the union of rank and file employees, the union of supervisors and the union of rank and file employees can validly affiliate with the same federation or national union. Who are disqualified from forming or joining a labor organization? Number 1, managerial employees. Number 2, confidential employees who have access to labor relations matters. Number 3, employees members of cooperatives. Number 4, government employees. Number 5, employees of GOCCs. And number 6, workers who are intermittent, itinerant, or without definite employers. Who are considered as managerial employees? Those vested with powers or prerogatives to lay down and execute management policies and or hire, transfer, suspend, lay off, recall, discharge, assign, or discipline employees. The managerial status of an employee is determined not by the nomenclature or title of the job, but by the nature of the employee's functions. The point to consider is whether the employee possesses authority to act in the interest of his employer on his independent judgment. The mere fact that an employee is designated as manager does not ipso facto make him one. The designation should be reconciled with the actual job description of the employee, for it is the job description that determines the nature of employment. What is the reason for the disqualification? It is the evident conflict of interest brought about by the nature of their position. In the field of collective bargaining, managerial employees are supposed to be on the side of the employer. They act as its representatives to ensure that its interests are well protected. The employer is not assured of such protection if these employees themselves are union members. In such a situation, collective bargaining can become one-sided. If managerial employees are allowed to form or join a union, the employer might not be assured of their loyalty. Moreover, the union can also become company-dominated with the presence of managerial employees. Confidential employees. Not all confidential employees are disqualified from forming or joining a labor organization. The determining factor is not the existence of a confidential relationship per se, but the element of trust or confidence in connection with matters concerning the employer's labor relations. Employees who have access to information which is confidential from the business standpoint, such as financial information, marketing strategies, secret formula, or technical trade secrets, are not disqualified from forming or joining a labor union. Were considered as confidential employees for purposes of disqualification. Only those who have access to labor relations information are disqualified. These are employees who act or assist persons who formulate, determine, and effectuate management policies in the field of labor relations. Therefore, to be disqualified, the confidential relationship must pertain to labor relations. Examples of confidential employees who have access to labor relations matters are legal secretaries, executive secretaries, and employees of the Human Resources Department, like Personnel Records Clerk or Labor Relations Personnel. What is the legal basis for the disqualification? It is the doctrine of necessary implication, which states that what is implied in a statute is as much a part thereof as that which is expressed. Applying this doctrine, the disqualification accorded to managerial employees equally applies to confidential employees because in the normal course of their duties, they become aware of management policies relating to labor relations. What is the reason for their disqualification? It is the potential conflict of interest. If confidential employees who have access to labor relations information are allowed to unionize, they could be governed by their own motives rather than the interest of the employers. During collective bargaining, they might jeopardize the interest which they are duty-bound to protect. They may become a source of undue advantage because they may act as spies of either party. Employees members of cooperatives. To fall within the disqualification, the employee must at the same time be a member of the cooperative. The disqualification does not extend to employees who are not members of the cooperative. What is the reason for the disqualification? This is because the members are co-owners of the cooperative. Since they are co-owners, they cannot bargain with themselves. Government employees. Government employees refer to those employed by the national government, local government units, and government-owned and controlled corporations. What is the reason for their disqualification? Government employees are disqualified from forming a labor union because the terms and conditions of their employment are fixed by law. Such being the case, only Congress can prescribe or improve the terms and conditions of their employment. Can employees of GOCCs with special charter form or join a labor organization? The answer is no, because they are governed by the Civil Service Law. On the other hand, can employees of GOCCs organized under the corporation law form or join a labor organization? The answer is no, because Article 254 of the Labor Code of the Philippines, which granted employees of government corporations established under the Corporation Code the right to organize and to bargain collectively with their respective employers, has been repealed by the GOCC Governance Act of 2011. With the enactment of the GOCC Governance Act of 2011, employees of GOCCs established under the corporation law can no longer form or join a labor union. Hence, they cannot bargain collectively. The reason is that the GOCC Governance Act of 2011 has provided a compensation and position classification system which applies to all GOCCs, chartered or non-chartered. Section 9 of the GOCC Governance Act of 2011 ordains that no GOCC shall be exempt from the coverage of the compensation and position classification system. Therefore, for purposes of disqualification from forming a labor union, the term GOCCs refers to both chartered and non-chartered corporations. The GOCC Governance Act of 2011 has removed the distinction between chartered and non-chartered GOCCs insofar as the right to form or join a labor organization is concerned. Take note that what has been withheld from employees of GOCCs organized under the corporation law is the right to seek better terms and conditions of employment through collective bargaining. Other rights and benefits under the Labor Code of the Philippines continue to be applicable, such as the right to retirement pay, separation pay for employees terminated on the ground of retrenchment, redundancy, closure, or illness, and the right to reinstatement with back wages for those illegally dismissed. Aliens who are not employees cannot organize a labor organization. This is because Article 284 of the Labor Code of the Philippines prohibits them from engaging in all forms of trade union activities. Trade union activities refer to organization and administration of labor organizations, negotiation and administration of CBAs, concerted union actions, organizing, managing, or assisting union conventions, meetings, rallies, referenda, teach-ins, seminars, conferences, and institutes, participation or involvement in representation proceedings, representation elections, consent elections, union elections, and other analogous activities. The disqualification of the above-mentioned employees is not unconstitutional. It does not violate the constitutional right to self-organization because the disqualification is only about organizing or joining a labor organization, that is, for collective bargaining purposes. It does not prohibit them from forming or joining an association for their mutual aid and protection. Even though government employees and employees of GOCCs are not allowed to form or join a labor organization, they can form or join associations for purposes not contrary to law. But remember, the right accorded to government employees to form or join associations is not available to: number 1, members of the Armed Forces of the Philippines; number 2, members of the Philippine National Police; number 3, members of the Bureau of Fire Protection; number 4, members of the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology; number 5, high-level employees whose functions are normally considered as policy-making or managerial; and number 6, employees whose duties are of highly confidential nature. When does an employee qualify for union membership? This is on the first day of his employment. What are the implications of the right to self-organization? The right of employees to self-organization carries with it the right to: 1, abstain from joining a union; 2, choose which union he would join; and 3, cancel his membership with the union. Is the right to abstain, choose, or resign from the union an absolute rule? The answer is no. The right to abstain from joining a union, as well as the right to resign from the union or to choose which union to join, cannot be exercised where the contracting union, that is, the certified bargaining agent, and the employer have agreed on a union security arrangement. What is a union security agreement? A union security agreement is a stipulation in the collective bargaining agreement which requires employees covered by the collective bargaining unit to become members of the contracting union and to maintain their union membership in good standing as a condition for continued employment. Take note that a collective bargaining unit is different from a union. A union or labor organization is a group of employees organized for collective bargaining. On the other hand, a bargaining unit is a group of employees within the employer unit who share mutual interests in wages, hours of work, working conditions, and other subjects of collective bargaining. The union, who will be certified as bargaining agent, will represent the employees covered by the bargaining unit, whether they are union members or not. It is possible that two or more unions may exist in a bargaining unit. For instance, two or more unions may exist in the bargaining unit of rank-and-file employees. As to which union will represent the bargaining unit will be settled through a certification election. The union that wins in the election will be certified as the bargaining agent of the bargaining unit of rank-and-file employees. Note the types of union security agreements: closed shop, union shop, maintenance of membership, preferential shop, and agency shop. Number 1, closed shop. Closed shop is an agreement whereby the employer binds himself to hire only members of the contracting union who must continue to remain members in good standing to keep their jobs. Number 2, preferential shop. Preferential shop is an arrangement whereby the members of the contracting union are given preference in engagement, all circumstances being equal, and for them to maintain their membership in good standing during the lifetime of the collective bargaining agreement as a condition of continued employment. Number 3, union shop. Union shop is an agreement whereby the employer can hire non-members of the contracting union on the condition that they should join the union within a specified period and must continue to remain members in good standing to keep their jobs. Number 4, maintenance of membership. Maintenance of membership is an agreement which requires those who are members of the contracting union at the time of the execution of the collective bargaining agreement to maintain their membership in good standing as a condition of continued employment. Number 5, agency shop. Agency shop is an agreement which does not require union membership but only support in the form of agency fees from the employees which are covered by the bargaining unit. Note the distinction between agency fees vis-a-vis union dues. Agency fees are assessments made by the union against non-union members covered by the bargaining unit who accept the benefits under the CBA. On the other hand, union dues are assessments made by the union against union members. If there is a closed shop or union shop agreement in a certain establishment, is it possible for the contracting union, that is the bargaining agent, to assess agency fees? Yes, it is possible for the contracting union, that is the bargaining agent, to assess agency fees from employees. It will be noted that agency fees are assessed against non-union members covered by the bargaining unit who accept the benefits under the collective bargaining agreement. Even though a closed shop or union shop requires all employees covered by the bargaining unit to join the union, there may be some employees who would opt not to join the contracting union because they are members of another union at the time of the signing of the CBA, or because they are members of a religious sect, which prohibits its members from joining a union. In such a situation, the bargaining agent can validly assess agency fees from said employees if they accept the benefits under the collective bargaining agreement. Are union security agreements valid? Union security agreements are valid and legal. Article 259 of the Labor Code of the Philippines states that nothing in this code or in any other law shall stop the parties from requiring membership in a recognized collective bargaining agent as a condition for employment. What is the effect of a union security agreement? If there is a union security agreement, the employee must join the contracting union and or maintain his membership in good standing to retain his employment. He can resign from the union only during the freedom period, that is, within the 60-day period prior to the expiration of the collective bargaining agreement. If the union member fails to maintain his membership in good standing or resigns prior to the freedom period, he will be subject to dismissal. Employees can be dismissed for breach of union security agreement even if they may not be aware of such a provision. But the authority to dismiss must be expressly stipulated. An employer is bound to dismiss an employee under a union security agreement only when the authority to dismiss is clearly expressed in the agreement. Furthermore, due process must be observed. If a union member refuses to join the union or fails to maintain his union membership in good standing, the union will recommend to the employer his dismissal from employment. But before effecting the dismissal, the employer must observe due process, which means that the employer should first require the employee to explain, conduct administrative hearing if necessary, and proceed to dismiss the union member only when warranted by the evidence. What is the sanction for the employee's failure to observe due process? If the dismissal is found to be valid and justified, but the employer failed to observe due process, then the employer and the union will be solidarily liable for nominal damages. Note the facts to be proved. If the employer is sued for illegal dismissal for terminating an employee for breach of the union security agreement, the employer should prove that, number 1, the union security clause is applicable. Number 2, the union requested the employer to enforce the union security agreement. And number 3, there is sufficient evidence to support the union's decision to expel the employee from the union. Note the limitations on the applicability of union security agreements. Number 1, union security agreements cannot be enforced against employees who are already members of another union at the time of the signing of the collective bargaining agreement. Number 2, union security agreements cannot be enforced against employees who were unjustifiably refused admission by the union itself. And number 3, union security agreements cannot be enforced against employees who are members of religious sects, which prohibit the members from joining a labor organization. The reason is that the free exercise of religious belief is superior to contract rights. What is the effect of a union security
So
agreement
yung
in
under
case
dun
of
sa
merger?
securities
Union security agreements
pag-uusapan natin yan
apply
next
to
week.
employees
Napakaganda
who
ng
were absorbed
explanation ni Atty.
because of merger of corporations.
Kompleto siya.
Otherwise, it will lead to an
So,
inequitable
basically,
and very
kung may
volatile
questions kayo
labor
mamaya, sagutin
situation.
ko. And then, tingnan
What is the
natin,
importance
ano ba yung
of
mga
the right to
susunod na ano natin,
self-organization?
pag-usapan natin, labor
The law
organization.
attaches
Actually,
great
medyo
importance to the right
napakabigyan
of
na to ni
employees to
Atty. kanina dun sa
self-organization
video.
that it
Okay?
declares as
So, labor
unlawful or criminal
organizations.
for any
So,
person
as
to
defined,
restrain,
labor
coerce,
organizations.
discriminate
A
against,
labor
or duly
organization is
interfere
any
with
union
employees
or
and workers in the
association
exercise
of
of the right to
employees which exists
self-organization.
in whole or in
However,
part
the right
for
to
the purpose of
self-organization
collective
should be
bargaining or
subordinated to the
of dealing
constitutional
with
provision
employers
protecting the
concerning
sanctity of
terms and
contracts.
conditions of their
Thus, if there is a
employment.
union
Ewan nga
security
pala kanina.
agreement, such as a closed
Stand
shop,
corrected dun
a
pagdating sa
union
mga
member cannot
GOCCs
just
pala
resign
kanina.
from the
Sabi nga
union
ni
without
Atty.
sacrificing his employment.
Na-repeal na siya
To allow
noong
him to keep
2011.
his employment
So, ibig
would in
sabihin,
effect
yung mga
nullify the
government
closed shop
agencies na lang
agreement,
ang merong mga
thereby
unions ngayon,
destroying
pero yung
its sanctity.
GOCCs, wala
To
na
allow
rin
him
sila
to
kasi
keep
may
his
sarili na
employment
silang
would in effect nullify the closed
bargaining
shop
unit
agreement,
dun sa loob.
thereby
Kaya
destroying
stand
its
corrected
sanctity.
for that. Okay? Alright.
The right to
So ano bang,
self-organization
pag-usapan muna
yields
natin
to the
kung ano yung iba't
proviso
ibang
in
mga
Article
concepts o iba't
259E
ibang
of the
mga
Labor Code of the Philippines, which states that
definition ng labor,
nothing in this code or in any other law shall stop the parties from requiring membership
So,
in a
labor
recognized collective
organization
bargaining
refers
agent
to any union
as a
or
condition for
associations of
employment,
employees
except
in
those
the
employees who are
private
already
sector
members
which
of another
exist in
union at the
whole or
time of
in
the
part
signing
of
of
the
the
purpose
collective
of
bargaining
collective
agreement.
bargaining, mutual aid, interest,
Remember that the right to engage
cooperation,
in concerted
protection, or
activities,
other
which is
lawful
an incident
purposes.
of the right to
Under yan ng
self-organization,
Department Order
is not
40,
likewise
series of
absolute.
2003. Under naman sa
Right to self-organization.
jurisprudence natin which is GR number
The right to self-organization is the
21145,
entitlement
labor
given to all
organization
employees to form,
refers to any
join, or
union
assist
or
in the formation of
association of employees
associations
which exists
for
in
purposes
whole or
not
in
contrary
part
to law.
for the purpose of collective
The right to
bargaining or
self-organization
dealing
is
with
guaranteed by the
employers
Constitution,
concerning terms and
specifically Section
conditions of
8,
the employer.
Article
Halos parehas
3,
siya.
and
Pero
Section
gusto
3,
ko lang
Article
sabihin sa inyo na hindi nyo lang makikita sa labor code yung definition, yung labor organization. Makikita nyo rin siya sa Department Order, katulad nung nakikita ninyo, Department Order number 40, series of 2003. Pero makikita nyo rin siya sa mga Supreme Court decisions such as itong GR 211145 na to. Okay? So, define naman natin kung ano yung union. Actually, medyo dinefine na nga napahagingan nga kanina ni attorney yan. Union refers to any labor organization in the private sector organized to collective bargaining and for legitimate purpose, while workers' association is an organization of workers formed for mutual aid and protection of its members for any legitimate purpose other than collective bargaining. Okay? Many associations or groups of employees or even combinations of any several persons may qualify as a labor organization yet fall short of constituting a labor union. Okay? Kasi minsan tayo mga Pilipino, union kagad yung tingin natin sa kanila. Pero maaaring labor organization muna sila or isa muna silang labor organization. Hindi pa sila labor union. Di ba kailangan muna nilang mag-register in a way. Well, labor union is a labor organization. Not every labor organization is a labor union. The difference is one of the organization, composition, and operation. Magkakaiba yung kung ano yung ginagawa nila. So, kanina, dinefine ko na to, di ba? Legitimate labor organization refers to any labor organization in the private sector registered or reported with the department in accordance with the rules 3 and 4 of the Department Order 40-2003. Okay? So, it doesn't mean na union ka, it doesn't mean na mayroong kayong grupo doon, legitimate labor organization na. Okay? So, dapat mag-register muna sila kay DOLE para sila ay maging legitimate labor organization. Okay, marami kasi definition when it comes to right to self-organize. Medyo nakakalito talaga tong part na to. Actually, honestly, itong right to organize na to is isa sa mga topics or isa sa mga pinag-aaralan namin sa DOLE na talagang inuunti-unti namin. Bakit? Kasi sa dami ng definitions niya, at sa dami ng pagkakaiba-iba. Pero yun, di ba? Iba pa yung collective bargaining, iba ba yung collective bargaining unit sa union, sa workers organization, sa legitimate labor organization. So, kaya iniisa-isa ko kung napapansin nyo, iba-iba yung kanilang mga definitions. Okay? Yan. So, tingnan nyo lang mabuti. Legitimate labor organizations versus a bargaining unit. The concept of a union or and of legitimate labor organization are different from but related to the concept of bargaining unit. Yung sinabi ko kanina. No? Under Article 212 of the Labor Code defines a labor organization as any union or association of employees which exists in whole or part for the purpose of collective bargaining. Okay? So, para hindi lang tayo malito. Okay? Alright, naulit lang. Not necessarily a union, okay? So, legitimate workers association refers to association of workers organized or for mutual aid and protection of its members or for any legitimate purpose other than collective bargaining. Okay? Other than collective bargaining. Yun yung parang pinaka-point natin dito. Yung workers association, para rin siyang union, para rin siyang grupo, pero hindi sila nakikipag-bargain. Hindi sila nagkakaroon ng CBA. Okay? So, yun lang yung kailangan yung tandaan dyan. Okay? And then, workers association refers to an association of workers organized for the mutual aid protection of its members for any legitimate purpose other than bargaining din. Okay? So, kailangan, iano nyo muna kasi union lang ang pwede makipag-bargain. So, pag-usapan naman natin yung categories of a labor organization. Okay? Labor organization may be classified as follows. National Union or Federation, ito yung para sa buong Pilipinas. Examples nito is yung KMU, TUCP, naririnig nyo palagi sa TV yan. Okay? And of course, yung independent union or yung local union. Define natin isa-isa. So ano ba ang national union or federation? It refers to a group of legitimate labor unions. Ibig sabihin, yung national union, marami ng legitimate union sa loob nila. Okay, in a private establishment organized for collective bargaining, yan, nakipag-bargain na sila kasi union na sila or for dealing with employers concerning terms and conditions of employment for their member unions or for participating in formulation of a social and employment policies, standards, and programs registered with the Bureau in accordance to our rule number 3, section 2-B ng DOLE Department Order 40-2003. Okay? So basically, para matandaan nyo lang, pag sinabing National Union, sila ay koleksyon or sila ay binubuo ng iba't ibang mga legitimate union. Yan. Okay? So, ano naman ang independent union? Mahati siya sa tatlo. Okay? Siyempre, independent union, pag-usapan natin kung ano yung independent union, ano yung affiliate, at ano yung chartered local na union. Okay? Independent union refers to a labor organization operating at the enterprise level that acquired legal personality through independent registration under Article 234 of the Labor Code. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, kumbaga, sila ay legitimate na union sila. Okay? Pero nasa enterprise level lang sila. Nasa kumpanya lang sila. Nandun lang sa nag-iisang kumpanya. Hindi sila makikita sa labas. Okay? So, ano naman yung affiliate? Affiliate, ano yan, sir? Refers to an independent union. Independent union na rin siya, ha? Which is affiliated kay federation. Diba? Ibig sabihin, hindi lang sila union dun sa kumpanya na yon, affiliated or miyembro sila ng Miyembro sila ng national union, di ba? So, pag sabing affiliate union sila, affiliate independent union, sila ay member ng isang federation or ng isang national union. Ibig sabihin, kunyari, samahan ng mga manggagawa sa ICC, pero under sila ng KMU. Yan, halimbawa yan. So, naalala ko rin sa dating trabaho ko doon sa Foremost, doon sa isang Lusutan group. So, samahan ng mga manggagawa sa Foremost Farms, tapos nakadugtong sa pangalan nila, KMU or Kiluasang Mayo Uno. Ibig sabihin, affiliated sila kay KMU. Ibig sabihin, miyembro sila ng isang federation na tinatawag na Kilusang Mayo Uno. Yan, yun yung affiliate. Ayan, ano naman yung chartered local? Okay. Chartered local refers to a labor organization in the private sector operating at the enterprise level that acquired legal personality through registration. Okay? Through the registration sa DOLE. Okay? Halos parehas lang rin siya ng independent union. Okay? So, ano ang difference nila? So, yung chartered local, marami na sila. Kumbaga, halimbawa lang to, ha, example lang. San Miguel Malabon, San Miguel Cavite, San Miguel Laguna, halimbawa. So, independent union sila pero meron sila mga parang paano ba yun? Affiliate, kumbaga meron silang mga sister companies or meron silang mga sister union, brother unions sa ibang parts ng company. Hindi katulad ng independent union, doon lang siya makikita. Okay, doon lang siya makikita sa iisang kumpanya. Kumbaga parang in chartered local, may mga branches siya, pero iisang union, independent union sila, hindi sila affiliated, pero may mga branches sila sa iba't ibang parts, ay iba't ibang branch ng isang kumpanya. Yun yung difference niya. Okay, so, rights of a labor organization. Okay? A labor organization has two broad rights. So, dalawa yan. To bargain collectively, syempre yung CBA, and to deal with the employer concerning terms and conditions of their employment. Okay? So, to bargain collectively is a right of a given union. Syempre, right nila yan. Dealing with the employer, on the other hand, is a generic description of interaction between employer and employees concerning grievances, wages, work hours, and other terms and conditions of their employment, even if the employees group is not registered with DOLE. Siyempre, di ba, kaya nga may legitimate at saka yung labor union lang siya. Pero, siyempre, kaya sila nabuo is para to bargain collectively, and of course, pwede rin nilang i-brought up yung mga hindi nila gusto, grievances, yung mga wages, work hours, pwede nilang i-represent yung kanilang mga miyembro. So, syempre, kapag merong labor union, may mga pera yan, di ba? Sabi nga ng attorney kanina doon sa pinanood natin, nagko-collect sila ng union fees, di ba? Tapos nagko-collect rin sila ng mga agency fees. Union fees sa mga members nila, agency fees sa mga hindi nila members. Okay? So, paano natin malalaman kung nagagamit ba yung pera sa tama? So, nandyan lumalabas yung principle ng check-off. Okay? So, a check-off is a method of deducting from an employee's pay at prescribed periods the amounts due to the union fees, fines, and other assessments. The employee himself may voluntarily assign so much of his wages as may be necessary to meet his union due. Okay? And direct the employer to pay the amount of the treasurer to his or her union. Okay? Pero this, of course, comes with an audit. Okay? Nagkaka-audit rin sila. Union agreements containing check-off provisions may establish a general check-off for all employees. or in the absence of a closed shop. Yung kanina pag-uusapan pala natin yung closed shop by next week. They may be provide a check-off for every union member without the requirement of individual authorization. However, kailangan pa rin subjected to audit. So ano yung mga requisites nito? Okay. Ano yung mga requisites ng isang check-off? Authorization. Kailangan meron, HR kailangan meron to kasi kahit na ba may union doon sa company ninyo, kailangan meron pa rin itong mga dokumento na to para masabing kakaltasan nyo sila. Di ba? Naalala nyo doon sa labor law natin dati. Walang pwedeng ikaltas talaga doon sa doon sa sweldo ng isang tao bukod sa SS Pag-ibig PhilHealth at saka yung mga loan nila. Pero ngayon naglalagay tayo ng union dues, di ba? Nagkakaroon tayo ng agency fee. So dapat kompleto tong papeles na to para masabi natin HRs tayo na pwede silang kaltasan kasi baka magkaroon tayo ng illegal deduction na problema dito, di ba? Authorization by a written resolution of the majority of all members at the general membership meeting duly called for the purpose. Ibig sabihin, dapat may authorization talaga. Okay? Secretary's record of the minutes of the meeting. Siyempre, nung nag-meeting sila. And of course, tandaan ninyo, individual written authorization for check-off. Duly signed by the employee concerned. Okay? Ibig sabihin, may individual authorization sa bawat member ng union na sila ay kakaltasan. Kasi kapag wala nun, maaari tayong magkaroon ng illegal deduction. Okay? Lagi ninyong tatandaan palagi yan. Okay? Para mas maganda yung ninyo, mas maganda yung documentation nyo kapag may union. And lagi ninyong tatandaan HR. So, kapag meron ng union, medyo maingat na tayo sa lahat ng ginagawa natin, of course. Kailangan lahat well documented. So kahit naman walang union kailangan talaga maingat tayo sa lahat ng gagawin natin. Okay? This is basically a reminder para sa inyo lahat, para sa atin na mga HRs, na yung documentation is napaka-importante. Okay? Sobrang importante siya. Kailangan palagi nating alam kung ano nangyayari through documentation. Hindi yung nakipag-usap lang kayo sa union, etc. etc. Okay? I believe this would be the last of my slide for this day. Next week, pag-uusapan natin yung tungkol dun sa mga union securities at saka kung ano pa yung mga kakailanganin natin, yung mga union securities, iisa-isay natin yan. Yung close shop, yung mga ganyan. Pag-uusapan natin yan by next week. And then, hopefully, this lecture would give you a glimpse. This is actually an introduction dun sa papasok na union na pag-uusapan natin. Kasi pag-uusapan na natin kung ano-ano yung mga trade unions, ano-ano yung mga ganyan by next week. So basically, alam nyo kung paano siya binubuo. Alam nyo yung mga different na definitions na ginamit. At saka, at least, makita ninyo na ito ay isa sa mga karapatan ng manggagawa na dapat nating rin respeto. Okay? Kahit nasabihin pa ng mga boss natin na pangit yan, etc. etc. dapat yan ay dinirespeto natin. So, hopefully, this lecture would give you a glimpse kung ano yung mas pag-uusapan natin by next week, as this is an introduction of what will come sa mga susunod. And this would end my lecture. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. And I really hope marami tayong natutunan. And of course, kung may questions, you can raise it now. Maraming salamat.